Namaskar. Welcome to Vision of Asia Voice of Community. This Sunday, as I greet you, we all are excited. The new week, which opens tomorrow, will also bring many festivals in different parts of India, different states in their own traditional way, would be welcoming New Year, which begins with 13th April, Shak Samvat, and greetings on Navratri as well. And let's begin with the highlights of today's Vision of Asia. COVID-19 vaccination, how long the impact lasts. We'll have a conversation about that. We will have our weekly edition of this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir. Parikh. Rana organized Holi celebration in New Jersey. Our report on that celebration, conversation with veteran journalist Prem with the launch of his book, Reporting India, and another Holi celebration story from Vadtaldham, New Jersey. All this coming up right after these short messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Vision of Asia, Voice of Community, and many of you have already taken your vaccine. How much effective this vaccination is, that question is in the minds of many of us. And Pfizer has, based on its research, given us assurance that it lasts for at least 6 months. So once you are vaccinated, then there is a sense of security around you from COVID-19 for 6 months. Telling us about this finding, Dr. Rachana Kulkarni talked to Aditi Lamba. Here are some highlights from that conversation.
I want to discuss one of the biggest news that has come in today. Pfizer, the vaccine has said, the company has said that it's effective for about 6 months after you get the second dose. It also said that it's effective against the South African variant. My question to you is, what is your comment on that? And when you compare this vaccine with, say, a flu shot, how long does that last for a person?
Excellent question. The news from Pfizer is very, very encouraging that the immunity lasts for at least 6 months and hopefully more. So that's excellent, and also very encouraging that it is effective with all the important variants, except for the Brazilian variant. And I don't think there is data about it yet. It was never tested. But this is very encouraging news.
Right. And how do you compare it to the flu shot and its immunity?
It's so much better. Flu shots immunity is 50 to 60%. The new mRNA Pfizer vaccine technology has been considered the gold standard in vaccine, which is the measles vaccine. And that's usually 90 to 92%. And this vaccine is claimed to be 95 to 98%. So these are some outstanding statistics, so very encouraging.
And when you are looking at this flu shot, one more question, Dr. Kulkarni, does the flu shot also say that it only has immunity up to a certain amount of months, but we still take it just every year and it's supposed to protect us for a whole year?
Flu shot is seasonal. So sometimes flu shot, it depends on where the flu virus starts and what mutations are. So, this is I would say consider coronavirus as something like a flu shot that we may have to take every year, because the virus mutates just like any other virus, or just like the flu virus. The virus mutates, and then the scientists and the physicians have to adapt to the new virus, create the vaccine for that particular season, and then give the vaccine. That may not cover all the strains, which is usual for most of the vaccines. And the flu shot also covers you for certain period of time only, few months, because these coronavirus and the flu virus are mostly more prevalent in the winter seasons because of the close quarters, because the virus works and mutates a lot better in colder temperatures. So in my educated guess would be that we will be seeing a flu shot and a corona shot for at least few years to come.
And more on vaccines, doctor, when you're looking at Moderna, which has basically the same system and mechanisms as the Pfizer vaccine, do you think they'll also have similar results of at least immunity lasting for 6 months?
I certainly hope so and expect so also, because they are very similar technology, not exactly the same, but similar technology, similar efficacy. So I would expect that.
Of course. Let's now take a look at some numbers that are coming in today, doctor. We're looking at more than 552,000 deaths in the nation and more than 30 million cases. My question to you is, how are you observing these numbers right now? And, the CDC has now warned that the cases are increasing and there's an uptick, especially in the Northeast here. How are you looking at it?
Unfortunately, every time we have a social event, within a couple of weeks, we start seeing the uptick. This is not a new phenomena. We have seen that at Thanksgiving. Then we saw the holiday bump, which usually follows. So a couple of weeks after the holidays, then we start seeing the cases going up, and that unfortunately followed by the mortality. So we are seeing something very similar now after the spring break. And unfortunately, we are going to see the spring break, the Easter gatherings, and everything. So we will, it is a result of those gatherings. There is definitely a pandemic fatigue. The younger generation wants to get out, and they want to enjoy the spring breaks. I mean, if you see any pictures of any Florida beaches, right, we will think that probably COVID isn't there. And as a result of that, Northeasterns go down to Florida. Most of the people are still staying within the United States, but to warmer temperature, they come back. And then they spread the virus.
Right.
And that's what we are seeing.
And meanwhile, certain states such as Texas, Mississippi, and many more have loosened their COVID-19 restrictions. They've also ended their mask mandates. How dangerous could this be, doctor, when you are looking at this increase and uptick of cases?
It could be very, very dangerous. And as I had shared my views on this, Aditi, masks should never be political. We should listen to the science, wear the masks, safe distance, and that's the way to mitigate the virus risks. It's also very important that we should all get vaccinated, because that is a barrier that we have that we can put in between us and the virus.
And, just on that, doctor, President Biden has urged mayors and governors to reinstate the mask mandate, to stop loosening the restrictions. Do you agree with the president?
I'm completely in agreement with the president. Listen to science, wear the mask, keep a safe distance, protect yourself. And I agree with him when he says, if you don't believe in it, be a patriot and do it for your fellow citizens.
That's so true. The importance of masks, we cannot forget here. It's so important, just continue wearing it. Do you think we'll be wearing the mask up until 2022? Dr. Fauci has said that.
I certainly think so, because as we are seeing, the virus is mutating, and it is adapting to circumvent the immune system. So we may see this for a few weeks, few months to come. We hope that by the holiday season of 2021, those risks will be less and we should have some sense of normalcy back. But who knows? Who would have thought a year ago that we still will be wearing masks?
Yes, that's so true. Dr. Fauci also said, Doctor, that federal COVID-19 guidelines will be much more liberal by 4th of July if US cases drop as more Americans are vaccinated. Now, looking at this entire situation right now, we aren't too far from July. Do you think that's going to happen? And if so, how liberal would these guidelines be?
It all depends on the rate of vaccination and how people are getting vaccinated and still following the guidelines. And the other variable in that would be the variants, because as you have seen that in Germany, now in Britain, these variants are becoming more prevalent. Now there is also a US variant, and these variants are a lot more virulent, attacking the younger population more. So there are so many variables that go into that equation. It's certainly, I would love to see all of us celebrating 4th of July outdoors and with our friends and families. Hopefully we are able to celebrate the Independence Day with some independence. But at this point, it looks like that goal seems to be a little out of reach. I hope so, but we shall see.
And these nations you just mentioned, Dr. Kulkarni, have actually gone into lockdown because of these variants. Do you see that risk of lockdown again happening in this country? That would be devastating for the economy, especially.
Exactly. I certainly hope not. And that's why my urge to everyone is get vaccinated and be careful, get vaccinated, avoid huge gatherings.
Right. More on vaccine, doctor. I would like to now look into the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Its efficacy is less than the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine. However, it is a single dose shot. Now, people are still hesitant to take this Johnson & Johnson shot, even though we don't really have a say in which vaccine we end up getting. How are you looking at it? How do we sort of raise that awareness amongst people and have them feel more comfortable about Johnson & Johnson?
I do say that the efficacy of J&J vaccine is still far better than the flu shot that we think we are getting. We don't think about it. We think we are immune. So it is still a lot better than an average flu vaccine. And the second thing, what you rightfully said, we don't have a say in that. So take it.
Yes, for sure. And now then looking into AstraZeneca, it has said that it's about 76% effective, which is now less than Johnson & Johnson. However, AstraZeneca has been in somewhat of a trouble in Europe, where it has been banned so far in certain nations. And in the US, it's trying to have the emergency use authorization. How are you looking at it? And it has this rare case of blood clots. What information could you give us about that?
There certainly was a concern that was raised about the AstraZeneca vaccine, but then further evaluation shows that it really isn't a big concern. And in my opinion, at least at this point, the benefits outweigh the risks. And if that's the only vaccine that you have available, take it.
Yeah. Do you think it'll get approved in the US?
I think it might. Not sure, Aditi, not sure.
Yes, they are taking a while to come on this.
Exactly. Usually, US guidelines are a lot more stringent than European.
Right. Now, let's take a look into what to do once you've been vaccinated. We're getting a lot of questions about it, doctor. So my first question to you is, the CDC came up with its own guidelines of what you can do once you're fully vaccinated, who you can, hang out with, who you can be indoors with. How do you look at it? What is your recommendation?
If you're vaccinated, and then you should be able to meet people who are also vaccinated in small groups without wearing a mask. Still keep it as a small group. If possible, maintain social distancing. But that's why getting the vaccine is such a liberating feeling.
Namaskar, welcome to This Week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, and let us jump right in some of the important issues facing us. So, welcome, Dr. Sahab. Namaste.
Namaskar, namaskar.
So, when you look at your past week, what would you say was the highlight if you look at it in terms of the status of COVID-19 here as well as in India?
Well, here I think fortunately the vaccination is going very well. Almost they are vaccinating almost 2 to 3 million people per day. So I think, and now in New York, New Jersey, at least in New Jersey, you can get anyone can get a vaccine, irrespective of their health status or age. So everybody is, I mean, they open up for everyone. So and they are really ramping up number of vaccination, and that's a great news. And because of that, almost 40% of the USA population has been vaccinated, uh, at least one dose, and that shows that we are approaching very close to the herd immunity, because once a 50% people get vaccinated fully, and we know that 30% population has a COVID infection in the past, so that takes us to the herd immunity, and that means the COVID serious COVID infection spread in the community is over. In India, really, it's a cause of concern because second wave is really going out of hand. The yesterday there was almost 90,000, means 1 lakh new cases were there. The number of deaths are going up, and almost all the large populated state has this problem. And so I think Indian government needs to ramp up the vaccination. And I think there are some comment from the public that India should first take care of their citizen and then try to export the dosage of the vaccination to neighboring country.
Absolutely. And as we are looking at the COVID situation in Maharashtra, that also has shown a lot of increase, as well as the number of death is also increasing.
Not only Mumbai, but in the Gujarat also. Today, Gujarat government has declared complete lockdown for next 5 days in all large cities like Baroda, Rajkot, Ahmedabad, Surat. Because in Gujarat also situation is getting worse and grim. The same thing in the Maharashtra, and they should do and somehow clamp this spread of the viruses. And I think another unfortunate part is the election season is going on. So those states, the 5 states where elections are going on, there also people are not following the CDC guideline or COVID guideline, and there is a lakhs of people are getting together in a big campaign rally, and I think that is very unfortunate, because that's again within 2 weeks time, those states where the elections are going on will be again have big surge of the COVID infection. So I think it's a kind of little out of hand situation in India, and I'm sure government will take care of whatever necessary. But the most important part is they should ramp up the vaccination of everyone, all citizens. And as we know that it's not easy, very challenging, because the population of the India is almost over 1 billion people, and so far they have vaccinated only 2 or 3 million people, and that's nothing. That's kind of a very minuscule amount, and I think government has to do something to start ramp up the vaccination. Just like here now, here in USA, since last 1 month, the vaccination speed is really picking up, and that's why almost 40% of the people has at least one dose of the vaccine.
You rightly said, Dr. Saab, election rallies show the kind of picture as if COVID-19 has gone far away. And at the same time, we hear some places in India where police is making use of the stick and hitting people if they are seen without mask. So these are two different kind of pictures. But moving forward, going towards the election compulsions for every political party, it it is almost now it is almost unavoidable. They'll gather, and so moving forward, how do you see
No, I
the
mean, right. In COVID situation, I think government should have, or election commissioner should have declared a different guideline how to campaign. You cannot have same guideline of campaigning what we had pre-COVID area. And if you really want, if you are really serious about clamping down or controlling the spread of the infection, now look at this, how bad it is getting, and deaths are going high, infections are going high, 1 lakh per day. I mean, that is kind of is more than even last March or April when there was height of the pandemic. So I think we government has to figure it out with the chief ministers of the different state what to do, or they might have to put the foot down and mandate certain things from the different government. That's only way to control this thing. Otherwise, we'll have unnecessary death in India, what we had in USA last year.
so what you said reminds me that in America also during the presidential elections, the campaign was different. There were very few large rallies, as used to be the case every time. But now going to West Bengal, in India, election always become very heated, sort of a competitive scenario, which is also at on the verge of some violence erupting. So, talk to me about your reading based on the recent polls. Looks like BJP is going to get majority, but difficult to say. Your take.
Well, I think in my opinion, or reading, it's very contested election. Again, I will repeat myself what I said last week. There's a 50-50 chance of BJP winning or losing, or TMC winning, and therefore I think all the polls right now has not much meaning, because still 7 phase of the elections are to be done. So it's too early to predict like that. But I think BJP has good chance of winning.
So, thank you very much for that wonderful analysis on the West Bengal, and it's quite pragmatic. And Dr. Parikh, let's go to Maharashtra again, and this time with the very controversial situation arising out of the High Court having asked CBI investigation, and which has resulted into resignation of Home Minister. Overall, under Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, the way government is behaving with the charges of 100 crore per month that were allegedly were being raised. So Maharashtra and cleanliness in public life at this point, how do you see that?
Well, I mean, this whatever is going on there with the Home Minister accusation and counter accusation, that shows that whole government, I mean, or part of all the political complex are corrupt, and that corruption has to be investigated, and those who are responsible should be punished, and punished harshly. They should not get away with the slap on the hands.
And unfortunately, we are uh, flooded with such highlights where you start questioning about the integrity of people. And in this context, if I may bring to your attention the case of Mukhtar Ansari, who is being transferred from Punjab jail to Uttar Pradesh today. And you might be aware of he was also responsible or accused for killing of one BJP MLA a few years ago, and there are multiple charges against him. But this kind of a man getting so much political protective shield, does that tell you something about the overall system?
Well, overall system, it's very unfortunate, and overall system is, we have all the laws and regulations in our books of the court, but no, unfortunately, no one is kind of because of this kind of political support. Unfortunately, no one is getting punished, nobody is getting convicted, and even they convicted, they don't get punished, and that is a very shameless thing to happen, and that's why we never, unless you punish some guilty, this kind of corruption, this kind of criminality will not stop. And I think current government, central government, has guts and courage to clamp down on them, and they should do that.
So when you refer to current government, that also takes us to the party lines that are drawn, and then BJP being cleaner than Congress is one impression which emerges. If it is so, it is good. If it is not, it should be like that. But let us assume what you said, and BJP by and large being fair and probably cleaner than the other parties. But people are people. What steps they can take? Because ultimately, whosoever runs the show, he would be a part of some of political party or of the bureaucracy.
Well, I mean, we are not saying who is cleaner and who is uh, less corrupt than which party. Current government of the Prime Minister Modi is a really strong government, very determined government, and if anyone can do something, this Prime Minister can do something. And we hope that the Prime Minister can take care of this kind of corruption, political favorism, and so forth during his this term.
So, Dr. Let us look at the potential method that current government under Prime Minister Modi may adopt to bring about some change in people's approach towards their work and maybe work with more honesty and integrity. Do you see that possibility?
It is possible, and I think this government can do it because the Prime Minister Modi has a very strong will to correct or improve the situation in India, and this government can do it. But they have to do it very even-handedly. It means they cannot let go their own party people versus opposition party people. So they have to, whoever is guilty, they should be investigated. They should be punished in the court. And they should pay the price, and you make a kind of example of them, so no one else can dare to do that.
So when you see that Maharashtra government is approaching Supreme Court to prevent CBI investigation, how people's perception about the government would become, and what would be the morale of government servants?
Well, I think that shows that everyone is trying to manipulate the system in their own favor. And that is very kind of deplorable, unfortunate. And I think High Court judgment should be carried out. It should be investigated properly and should be punished. Not only CBI investigation, but then CBI investigation should come to some conclusion rather than fizzled out on the way in the future.
So as I said, we move from one state to another. So I go back to Bengal, and the kind of rhetoric which you hear from both party leaders doesn't give a very rosy picture of the current situation. Whether you hear Mamata Banerjee calling Prime Minister Modi as thief, or Jaya Bachchan or Baduri reaching to Bengal and pleading voters that this is a lonely woman fighting for a just cause. So, referring to a sitting chief minister as a lonely woman, is it to arouse sympathy, or do you see some bigger reasons to have
Well,
that?
I think this is a campaign rhetoric on the both sides. And in the campaign rhetoric, people always talks extreme. And so I don't know how much you have to take with the sort of grain of salt kind of, because I don't know what is right and what is wrong. Only way to figure it out what is right and wrong when result comes on May 2nd. Only way to move forward is a strong government of Prime Minister Modi has to act very decisively, very firmly, and make sure that laws apply to everyone. There is no, law and person who is corrupt has to be investigated and punished, and also those who are going extreme in any side of the political party should be also condemned, and if it leads to some kind of violence or something like that, should be again prosecuted and punished. Unless you do those things, this is going to go on, and unfortunately, there is no real shining light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the unfortunate part of the whole story.
Right. I think you put it very nicely, and that firmness is required. So now, as we conclude today's this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir, Parikh, your parting words for our viewers.
Well, my parting words to both here and in India, all my dear friends, get vaccinated. All the vaccines are equally good. All vaccines are safe. And more you vaccinated, more people get vaccinated, the pandemic will end soon. And hopefully everyone should, of course, follow the guidelines of CDC and health guidelines, and make sure that do not spread unnecessary rumors about vaccination, negative rumors about vaccination, because all vaccination scientifically are proven to be very effective, very safe, and one should go and get vaccination. So thank you very much for joining us. God bless America. God bless India. God bless Indian American community. And we'll see you next week. Till then, goodbye.
Holy festivity stays with us in our spirit, but also some organizations find time based on their schedule on some weekends to get together and recreate the spirit of Holi, and that's what we observed at an event organized by Rana Samaj in New Jersey. Here are some highlights from this joyful celebration.
Hi, my name is Rana. I'm the president of Rana Samaj. I want to thank all my Samaj members, trustees, executive committee members, subcommittee members, and especially our mayor, Hector Lara, who's been here for quite a while. He has given us his precious time, especially on a Easter Sunday. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming and celebrating with us. Holi is the celebration of good versus evil. And I want to thank everybody again on behalf of Rana Samaj. Have a happy Holi.
Hello, everyone. Today is an amazing and wonderful day in the great city of Passaic, New Jersey. As you can see, we're celebrating the festival of Holi, which is the festival of love, of colors, a spring festival, an opportunity for the diversity and the amazing and marvelous South Asian community to come together and continue in traditions and expression of faith and love for all to see. As you can see, the children, the families, everyone are together. Businesses are providing services, sharing what they do for the community. Obviously, this year's a little different. We're all wearing masks. Some of our masks are more colorful than others, but we're very excited because we love all of our Indian community. We love our diversity, and most importantly, what today represents is unity, diversity, love, and a hopeful, optimistic expectation that as we see the light shine brighter and brighter at the end of the tunnel of this pandemic, we go into the spring with great joy and excitement that even greater things are going to occur We have wonderful people coming by, and as you can see, we celebrate together as a community. God bless all of our communities. God bless our South Asian community, and may all of our celebrations always enrich every portion of our community. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to thank all my. Thank you. I would like to thank all my community people to be here to celebrate the Holi festival, and we do this year. I hope we do it this festival every year, and all the committee members and efforts of committee members, and we thank you TV Gold to be here. Thanks.
Bharat Rana, one of the trustees from Rana Samaj, U.S.A. First of all, thank you very much, ITV, for coming to cover this event. This is a beautiful day, perfect for the Holi celebration. We just had a Mayor Hector Laura from the city of Passaic, who cut the ribbon for the ceremony. And as you see, beautiful day, and we have hundreds of people around the park. We rented a park, and we have thousands of people around the park. Today is the perfect time to celebrate. Rana Samaj always take a lead to serve the Indian American community living in a city of Passaic and a Passaic County. Today, as you see, a lot of business people around here too, and we wish that under the Rana Samaj banner, we can do a lot of stuff together. Thank you very much, all of you, and especially ITV Parikh Media. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Muki Patel, and I work with Faith Home Healthcare, and I own a pharmacy here in Passaic called Das Pharmacy. And thank you, Rana, for having a wonderful event here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving a permission to have a Holi celebration here in Passaic Park. Thank you, Dr. Vivek, for supporting this event. Dr. Vivek is a dental, and his wife also own Circle of Life Medical Adult Daycare in Belleville. Thank you very much, everybody. Happy Holi!
Connecticut Attorney General William Tong is a good friend of Indian American community members, and GOPIO organized a virtual event of interaction with Attorney General of Connecticut recently. Here are some highlights from that event.
This program hosted by Milan, Connecticut. Milan is a community service organization celebrating the traditional art and culture of India with mainstream America and our Indian diaspora. Milan believes in sharing and caring for the mainstream American issues. A community we live in also support, collaborates, and participate in all the mainstream and Indian diaspora event to foster constructive partnership and interactive relationship with the local community. So in today's program, I would like to request our Milan chairman, Shri Suresh Sharmaji, to introduce our speaker and allow us to proceed for the program.
How do we even react? How do we even respond? You did use the word stereotype. You did use the word we tend to be, not as dominating as we should be. And a lot of people, unfortunately, hear this on an ongoing, continual basis when they're minding their own business, not involved in anybody else, but obviously know that these adjectives and those words are directed to them daily.
So a couple things I would say. Number one, stay safe, okay? Standing up for yourself, being strong for your family and your dignity also means being smart and being safe. So what I would say is, if somebody's being racist to you to your face and they're threatening you, I would focus on your safety and your family's safety first. What I would do is report to your local authorities and insist that they take action, that they write down your complaint, that they investigate. I spoke at a rally on Saturday in Wallingford, and as we were speaking, Asian American group, people drove by in trucks, hurling insults and racial epithets at us and honking their horns and threatening people. And I've referred that to the Wallingford Police Department and the Chief State's Attorney. The problem in our community is that we don't report enough. Now that's true about all communities of color and minority communities and immigrant communities, but we have to trust law enforcement. And I know that's hard for people, particularly who don't have a lot of experience with our law enforcement system here in this country, but you've got to call your local police department. If something happens and you don't feel comfortable, call me. Call the Attorney General's office, attorney.general@ct.gov. Send me an email. That's what I'm here for, right? And even if I don't have the authority to deal with your particular circumstance, I can get somebody to focus on it. Talk to your elected representatives and tell them why this is important, that you want them to take action for you, that you want them to speak on your behalf about the racism that all of you experience in your communities. And in a larger sense, you just need to speak up. You need to speak up. I will close with this thought. There's an Asian American journalist who sometime in the summer, somebody attacked her. I think she was CNN. And she's CNN and she was in the airport. And somebody aggressively attacked her and yelled racial epithets at her. And what she said afterwards was, I'm an American, born and raised. I'm as American as Korean barbecue. And I thought that really resonated with me. I'm as American as pork fried rice, and you're as American as tikka masala. You know, that's about as American as it gets today. And I think we have to celebrate that and insist on that truth.
A virtual event was organized to launch a book by veteran journalist Prem Prakash recently by Prabha Khitan Foundation, Jilmil and Indian Consulate. Journalist himself, Prem Prakash, a senior person now, recollected some of the challenging moments of his career. Here are some highlights from that event.
Prem, you vividly describe the close danger you face reporting from East Pakistan. You vividly described the close dangers you faced reporting from East Pakistan at the start of the strife in March of 1971. Hard to imagine 50 years ago that led to the birth of Bangladesh, including filming historical footage marking the announcement of the provisional government of Bangladesh. You also described dangers you faced in Afghanistan. You covered other events, wars, where you faced further dangers. Prem, what propelled you to risk your life on so many occasions in the pursuit of good journalism? And what advice do you have for younger journalists about facing such risks that could take their lives? And I know you knew many colleagues who sadly passed away in the line of duty.
Yes. Myron, Tony White, who was the first editor of Viz News, once told me, Prem, whatever you do, ensure you are careful, because a dead Prem Prakash will be of no use to us. That was very candid. But the fact is, when I arrived in Calcutta, I took train journey from Delhi. Normally I would fly. The reason I took train journey was I wanted to, on the train, think how on earth I would be covering East Pakistan. Myself and my colleague Gurjara Strategy, we would go to Benapole, which was the border. And of course, we covered border events and so on. But that's not what's inside East Pakistan. So there was no way out other than take the risk of going in if you had to report. You see, a reporter who is only writing can sit in Calcutta, get information, quote that source, and write. But one who has got to show visuals, you can't. And more so because, for example, when I went to Jessore, that was my first foray into East Pakistan, which I mentioned in the book. And I reached there, I saw all those dead bodies. On the left, there was a barricade. I drove on. When I came back from Jessore, I'm cutting it short because you can read it in the book. There was a military officer at the border, along with the police who were waiting there, and they asked me where I had been. I told them I had been to Jessore. This guy laughed at me. I said, "What do you mean? Why are you laughing?" He said, "I've done it." He said, "Oh, you've done that?" I said, "Yes." When I explained to him the barricade, he said, "You've been lucky, they must be busy in Damas. Otherwise, they would have shot at you." That was the barricade by the Pakistan Army. On another occasion, when I was going to Khulna, I arrived in Khulna, and the local guy took us straight to the police station. You know what that meant. But as it happened, the head of police station was a Urdu-speaking person, and I could notice there that he was about to be killed by his Bengali juniors. So I left the place. They didn't touch me. And here I am before you, sit still, alive and kicking.
Vadtaldham Shri Swaminarayan Temple in New Jersey always observes important Hindu festivals with traditional devotional celebrations. And Holi also brought devotees together at Vadtaldham. Our camera was there. Here are some highlights from that celebration.
સર્વને હેપી હોળી એન્ડ ધૂળેટી ફૂલડોલ ઉત્સવ રંગોત્સવ આઈટીવીના સર્વે દર્શક મિત્રો અને કાર્યકર્તાઓ સર્વને ભાવથી જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. આજનો આ જે તહેવાર છે આપણા સનાતન ધર્મમાં હોળી ધૂળેટી તરીકે પ્રખ્યાત છે. હુતાશની હોળી એટલે પ્રહલાદની જે ફઈ હિરણ્યકશિપુની બેન એને એવું વરદાન હતું કે અગ્નિમાં પ્રવેશ કરે તો પણ સળગે નહીં અને અગ્નિને બાળી શકે નહીં. પણ એને ભક્ત પ્રહલાદને બાળવા માટે જ્યારે પોતાના ખોળામાં લઈને બેઠા અને ભગવાને ભક્તને ઉગાર્યા અને એનું વરદાન હતું છતાં પણ હોળિકા બળી ગઈ. ત્યારથી આ હોળિકાનો તહેવાર આપણે ત્યાં ઉજવવામાં આવે છે. પ્રહલાદનું ભગવાને રક્ષણ કર્યું છે. દરેક જ્યારે એના પિતાએ મારવાનો પ્રયત્ન કર્યો ત્યારે તો એવી રીતે પ્રહલાદનું રક્ષણ થયું અને રક્ષામાંથી એ આલોટીને બહાર આવ્યા. એટલે ધૂળેટી આપણે કરીએ છીએ. ધૂળેટીનો ઉત્સવ પણ ઉજવતા હોય છે. હોળિકા દહન પણ કરતા હોય છે. આપણા આ અમેરિકામાં અહીંના આધુનિક વાતાવરણમાં પણ આપણે આ વડતાલધામ મંદિરમાં મહારાજશ્રીની આજ્ઞાથી અહીંયા બાજુના મેદાનમાં આપણે હોળી પ્રગટાવીને બધા એનો પૂજનનો અને દર્શનનો લાભ લે છે અને બીજા દિવસે રંગોત્સવ હોય છે. પણ આ દેશના રિવાજ પ્રમાણે બંને તહેવાર એક જ દિવસે આપણે મનાવતા હોઈએ છીએ. તો આજે આ મંદિરમાં રંગોત્સવનો તહેવાર હતો. અહીંયા ઘણા બધા ભક્તોએ આવીને લાભ લીધો છે. હોળી પ્રગટાવી હતી અને પછી રંગોત્સવનો પણ લાભ લીધો છે. સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાને વડતાલમાં બહુ મોટો રંગોત્સવ કરાવેલો. ઝુબન પગીએ 25 ગાડા ગુલાલના ભરીને મંગાવેલા અને 2 મોટા કુંડ કરાવીને ગંગા જમના એવા કુંડ કરાવી અને કેસુડાનો અને ગુલાલનો રંગ ઘોળી અને સંતોરી ભક્તોને ખૂબ રમાડેલા છે. અને 12 બારણાનો હિંડોળો નિષ્કળાંત સ્વામી બનાવ્યો અને 12 સ્વરૂપે ભગવાને આ દિવસે દર્શન દીધેલા છે. એ રંગોત્સવની પરંપરામાં અહીંયા સ્વામિનારાયણ સંપ્રદાયના દરેક મંદિરોમાં આ રંગોત્સવ ઉજવવામાં આવે છે. આપણા ભારતીય તહેવાર પ્રમાણે પણ આ રંગોત્સવ ઉજવવામાં આવે છે. અને રંગોત્સવના માધ્યમથી અમારે સર્વને જણાવવાનું કે આવો જે ભગવાનનો જે પ્રસાદીનો રંગ એનાથી આપણા રંગાયેલા જે શરીર અને શરીરની સાથે આપણે આપણા મન આપણા અંતકરણને ભગવાનના રંગથી ધર્મના રંગથી રંગવાનું છે. અને એ રંગ આપણે ક્યારેય ઉતરે નહીં એવી ભગવાનને પ્રાર્થના કરવાની છે. તો એવો ભગવાનનો રંગ, ભગવાન સંબંધી સત્સંગનો રંગ, ધર્મનો રંગ સર્વના જીવનમાં સદાય રહે અને એમના જીવનમાંથી અધર્મનો રંગ જતો રહે એવી આ રંગોત્સવના દિવસે ભગવાનના શરણોમાં પ્રાર્થના કરીએ છીએ. અસ્તુ. જય સ્વામિનારાયણ.
સોશિયલ ડિસ્ટન્સ હોવા છતાં પણ અહીંયા મંદિરમાં અમે ઉત્સવ કર્યો અને કાલે હોળી હતી તો હોળીના દિવસે પણ સારા એવા હરિભક્તો આવી અને હોળી માતાના દર્શન કર્યા અને પ્રસાદ પણ લીધો. જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. હેપી હોલી. હેપી હોલી.
And now, before we go from today's Vision of Asia, time to remember we have our vibrant Facebook page. Do become friends with ITV Gold's Facebook page as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep writing to us, events@itvgold.com. Stay safe, stay well, Happy New Year, and all the festive days that would be waiting for you this week. On that note, this is Showgas. Namaste.